What's up, guys? This is Derek from MorePlatesMoreDates.com. I just want to talk to you guys today about my top 10 most complimented fragrances slash colognes. Since probably 2011, I've slowly been accumulating quite the fragrance collection. And, I don't know why, but I just really like collecting them. I don't know if it's because the bottles are cool or because I like having the perfect scent for every particular situation, but it's kind of like a hobby of mine to collect them. And I even check out the fragrance forums quite a bit just to see what's new and see reformulations of ones that I currently use and stuff like that. It's kind of lame, but it's kind of like my hobby. But anyway, so before 2011, I never used fragrances at all. I just didn't even think of it or didn't think there was a point. I thought there was just a negligible benefit to smelling decent for some reason. But anyway, so in 2011, I got a bottle of Armani Code Original. And that when I started seeing how my reactions from women on dates changed when I started using fragrances on dates, I took a complete 180, and since then I've just been, slowly building up a crazy collection of different fragrances and colognes that I feel are the best pretty much. And I've narrowed it down over the past 5 years to 10 very particular ones that basically this list is not going to be necessarily my favorite smelling ones, but it's going to be the ones that I've received the most compliments from women with. So they're basically the best smelling ones to women. And I don't know about you guys, but even if I don't really like a fragrance, it's not my most favorite smell in the world, if 99% of women think it smells fucking amazing, then I'm probably going to wear it. So anyways, without further ado, let's start with number 10. This is called F Black by Salvatore Ferragamo. What's great about this one is it is really cheap, so that's a pro right there. It's very strong. It projects really far. It lasts a long time. Basically, there's two criteria that you the first two things you want to know about a fragrance, besides if it smells good or bad, obviously, is its projection and its longevity. Projection is basically when you spray it, how far does the smell project from your body? So if I sprayed this cologne, will you be able to smell me from a foot away, from an inch away, from a centimeter away? That's kind of the projection. Anyway, and longevity is basically just how long it lasts after you apply it. So, a weak fragrance could become a skin scent after an hour. Basically, a skin scent is when it gets so weak that you can only smell it by literally sticking your nose in the person's skin. But anyway, so moving forward, Salvatore Ferragamo's F Black is quite a beast in the projection category as well as longevity. So that's what makes it good in the first place. But not only that, it's really masculine, sexy smell that women really seem to like. It's number 10 because I've got a lot of compliments from it, but it's kind of like a love or hate fragrance. 90, I'd probably say maybe 80% of women just go nuts for it, and then maybe 20% don't like it as much. But in my opinion, it's so cheap, and it's such a good fragrance, and it's so strong that it's really great to have on hand anyways, especially for winter months when you're outdoors. When you're walking around in the snow and you're outside, it's really hard to find a fragrance that can cut through that air, especially when you're outdoors and still project to a woman that's a foot away from you. And this stuff does a great job at that. So whenever I'd go on, dates at nighttime in the winter outdoors, I'd go on a walk or do anything really. Or when I was bouncing downtown and I had to work outside in the winter, I'd wear F Black, and I got tons of compliments with it, and it worked great for that. Moving on to number 9. This one is also a cheap fragrance, which is fantastic. This is Perry Ellis 360 Red. So, I don't know, this one's almost empty, and it's actually 200 milliliters, not even 100. And I've gone through probably like 5 bottles of these in the past 5 years just because it's that good. This is it's kind of like one of my scents that it's so versatile and it's so, I don't know how to say it. It's just kind of like an everyday fragrance that smells really good. So I kind of just like abuse the hell out of it sometimes. I don't have to wear it for a particular situation because it just like, it works well all the time. Yeah, as far as how it smells, if you guys have ever smelled, Acqua di Gio by Armani. It's the number one. I think it's the number one selling fragrance of all time. Basically, this stuff smells exactly the same, except it's less than half the price. It might even be a third of the price, and it projects better and it lasts longer. So it's like a win-win-win. And it works great in daytime, for day dates, for the office, for anything. Like, there's really no situation where it's not gonna perform amazingly, and I've got tons of compliments with it in the past. Moving on to number 8, as you guys saw at the beginning, I showed you guys Armani Code Original. I used this for a long time, and it was my favorite fragrance when I first got it back in 2011. It was my only fragrance at the time, but I kept buying it for a couple of years after that. But eventually it got, reformulated. So it still smells exactly the same, but it's a bit weaker now. So currently I've been using, it's called Armani Code Profumo, which just came out recently, which is basically just the perfume version of the Eau de Toilette, which is the cologne. So this stuff is basically, it's supposed to be just like a stronger version of Armani Code Original, but first of all, it definitely is way stronger. The projection is insane. The longevity is literally like all day with this. So you're definitely get your money's worth. It's worth every penny in my opinion. As far as the scent, it definitely shares the same DNA as Original Code, but there's definitely some notes in there that are new that don't make it smell identical to this. So it's going to be kind of up to you. If you're really particular about your scent, you might want to stick with Original, but I get tons of compliments with this one. It's crazy strong, so just make sure you apply it sparingly. I'd say it's best for like nighttime dates. It's probably works best in the winter as well. It's kind of hard to like say, oh, it smells exactly like this, because even though I'm a kind of like, it's a hobby of mine, I don't actually study the top notes and the middle notes and the base notes of all these colognes. I just kind of know, I can just kind of tell by smelling it, this is the kind of situation it would work best in, just based upon how it smells. I know that for some of you that doesn't really make sense. For a lot of you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So when I say that, just take it with a grain of salt, but that's my personal opinion of when it would work best, just based on the scent. Moving on to number 7, we've got, let's see, it's Versace Eros. So this stuff is, I'd say it's best in a club environment. It's really strong. It's really sexy smelling. It's kind of like European smelling almost, if that makes any sense at all. Probably doesn't, but anyway. I wear it pretty much exclusively to clubs and sometimes on dates. Like some girls like it particularly, but I find it's quite the beast in the projection category. So it's definitely a good club fragrance to kind of like cut through all that, like the bullshit smells of every other dude that's around you. And yeah, it's just like it's not super expensive. It's kind of like middle ground. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive. I'd say it's a pretty solid choice to have on hand for being like kind of allocated for your clubbing fragrance, if you're gonna have one allocated for that. So moving on to number 6, this is probably, I would say this is probably without a doubt the best cheap fragrance that exists of all time. It's Nautica Voyage. I will never, ever not have a bottle of this on hand at some point because, okay, first of all, it's like $14 for 100 milliliters of it, and 100 milliliters lasts you a long time. It's literally, it's so fresh smelling. It's perfect for the summer, but it can be used at any time of the year. It is strong, projects great, its longevity is good. I have never, ever in my life heard a negative review of this scent. I think it's probably the safest scent you can buy that will be appealing to not only women but men, but like everyone. This is like the least controversial scent there is. No one's gonna, unless you over apply it with like a billion sprays, no one's gonna get offended by the smell or think it's bad. It's just universally appealing in general. It smells fantastic, super fresh. I definitely recommend getting one of these. This is my number 6 spot. Got tons of compliments with it. Cheap as hell. Definitely a great blind buy if you want a great, like everyday fragrance for wearing whenever. Okay, moving on. This is Christian Dior Sauvage. So I'm sure you've probably seen the commercials with Johnny Depp in the past year or so. I don't know how long this has been out. It might be 2 years now. It's probably been a year or so. But basically, he's like the poster person for this fragrance, and usually like the really hyped up ones, I kind of write off kind of instantly, but this one in particular, I definitely had to give it a try after I heard a lot of great reviews online, so I went and gave it a smell. Honest to God, I don't like this smell. It's really synthetic smelling. It's kind of like, if you were to say, what's a generic cologne smell, it definitely could fall into that category, if that makes any sense. But for whatever reason, women go literally apeshit for this. It performs really well. It lasts so long. I'd say it's probably about on par with the performance of Armani Code Profumo. It's it's probably even stronger, to be honest. You only need a few spritzes of this. It's definitely not one of those ones where you'd spray 3 spritzes on this shoulder, 3 spritzes this shoulder, 3 spritzes behind your head, 3 spritzes like up your ass. Like, no. The stuff you need 3 spritzes like just wafting into you, and then you're good to go for probably the next 6 hours at least. It's like I said, it's not the best smelling thing to me, but women just love it. So I've got tons of compliments. Performs great. I think it's good for any time of the year, at any time really. The only time it is kind of offensive is if you overspray it because it's so strong, but just don't be an idiot and overspray it, obviously. It's not that hard to do. So, Dior Sauvage. It's quite good. Number 4. This is L'Homme by Yves Saint Laurent. And basically this stuff is, I'd say it's probably the most pleasant smelling fragrance, male fragrance I've ever smelled in my life. It's kind of hard to describe, but basically it just makes you really happy when you smell it. It smells fantastic. I'd say it's probably best for daytime, like lounging around your house, or you're with your girl like in the morning, you like put a few spritzes on to make breakfast and like cuddle, and like, or do you go to meet her parents, or just anything kind of like. It's my go-to indoor day fragrance. I know that sounds super specific and unnecessary, but I have so many damn colognes that I can be that picky with the scenario. So this one, can't go wrong with it. It's another one that I've never heard a negative review about the smell. It's really non-controversial. It's I guarantee people will love it, and you'll get compliments with this one. The next 3, are definitely, that last one was definitely not like a night date fragrance. It's like a day chill out, lounging around, like just very pleasant, happy smell. The next three are like my go-to super like date night killers, if that makes any sense. It's anytime I have a date at nighttime, I I have a hard I kind of flip a coin. Well, I can't flip a coin with three, but you know what I mean. It's a hard decision to pick between these three. The third one is Dolce and Gabbana, the one. This stuff is, without a doubt, bar none, the sexiest smelling male fragrance I've ever smelled in my entire life. It's just fantastic. I can't even explain it other than it's literally sex in a bottle. But the one issue with it is the performance is very bad. So it can literally become a skin scent after a couple hours. So you definitely have to, you could douse yourself in it, but it's not really recommended because then you're going to be way too strong smelling. But you need to carry a travel atomizer with you if you're going to be wearing this stuff throughout the night, in my opinion. I will tell you guys what a travel atomizer is, and I'll just tell you now. Anyway, this is a travel atomizer. Basically, these are like they come in like 6 to 10 milliliter sizes usually. And what they are is they're basically mini cologne bottles that you fill up with the fragrance you want. And then you go out on your date or you go out wherever you're going with this in your pocket. And then you can reapply your fragrance throughout the night without having to carry a giant 100 milliliter bottle with you. So I literally never leave the house without one of these on a date, or even usually when I'm just going out in general. I like to have one just sitting in my pocket just in case. It is super cheap. You can get them. I linked them in the description below, along with all the other colognes. Anyways, I'm getting off track. So Dolce & Gabbana, the one, tons of compliments, sex in a bottle, sexiest smell ever, just kind of weak. So it's up to you whether you go for that or not. Maybe your skin might react to it better than mine, and it might stick for longer because these fragrances, they kind of interact differently with different people's like skin. It's kind of odd, but basically, like, some people it'll hold way longer and perform better for much longer periods of time than for others. Just individually dependent, but in general, it's what I said is kind of like how it works for everyone. Okay, moving on to number 2. This is Carolina Herrera CH Men. This is the original CH Men. It was reformulated since then several times, and unfortunately the new formulations are not only weaker, but they don't even smell relatively close to the same as this. So, first of all, I use this as well as CH Men Privé, which is the newest formulation of this stuff. It's basically, you know how Profumo, Armani Code Profumo is like a different version of Armani Code Original? There's CH Men, and then there's CH Men Privé, which is like another version of CH Men. And by reformulation, I basically mean that this one in particular, CH Men Original, as they're still being produced, obviously, but the newer years, like closer to 2015, 2016, they just seem to be getting worse and worse. So, like, I actually intentionally went out of my way to find a bottle from, like, I think this one's like 2012 or something, and to figure that out, I look at the serial code on the bottom, and I basically make sure that it was produced in a year where it hadn't been watered down or changed yet. But obviously that's a bit extra effort for most people that they don't want to do. Like, you don't have to research for an hour to find the fragrance that you want to buy. And if you're buying it at a department store, you can't look at the serial codes beforehand. I actually bought this from a eBay salesman. But anyways, they're getting harder and harder to find the old formulations. So CH Men Privé is the newest version of this. And luckily, it performs just as well as this stuff. And it smells just as good. It smells a bit different, but the compliments I got from it were equivalent to this, which is great. It falls into my number 2 spot. It's literally It's really sexy, it's edgy, it's masculine, it's it lasts definitely longer than Dolce & Gabbana the One. It performs better. And, you know, this is personally my favorite smell out of all of them. Maybe the One is close, but this one is more, the One is more of like a nighttime fragrance for dates. This one is a nighttime date fragrance, but it can also be used for daytime, for going to the grocery store, for doing anything pretty much. So it is quite versatile. And then finally, we move on to the number 1 spot, which is La Nuit de l'Homme by Yves Saint Laurent. Not to be confused with the number 1 spot, which is just L'Homme by Yves Saint Laurent. This is basically like the daytime version, like the nighttime version, if that makes any sense. But the nighttime version, it literally smells like heaven in a bottle. It's so damn good. It's kind of soft, but still masculine at the same time. I guess, you know, when you decide if you want La Nuit de l'Homme, you kind of have to ask yourself, are you okay with a bit of a softer smelling fragrance? Because some people, they literally refuse to wear something if it kind of doesn't coincide with their character that they feel like they portray. Like if they feel like they're a super edgy masculine individual, they refuse to wear softer smelling fragrances. But for me, I didn't really care. I kind of prefer CH Men for the masculinity reason, but honestly, La Nuit de l'Homme, I got the most compliments out of any fragrance I own with this stuff. It is soft, like insanely sexy. It's, you know, I just like can't even put into words how good it smells. It smells ridiculous. And I definitely recommend you get a bottle of this for nighttime dates if you're okay with a bit of a softer, sexier smell. Like honestly, I don't care because I'm just like, I bought it just for women's reactions. It's not for my own. As long as I can tolerate the smell, it's fine with me. It smells damn good. Women absolutely go nuts for it. And here's a tip for you guys: when you're at a girl's house overnight, take obviously you'll have your atomizer with you hopefully. Before you leave in the morning, spray a few spritzes on her pillow before you leave, and then she will literally be smelling you all day and be thinking about you all day and thinking about you in this scent. And this scent is literally the best smell to be remembered by, in my opinion. And not a lot of people wear it, even though it's really popular. At least in my area. I live in Canada, and it's probably more common for people to not even wear cologne in Canada than it is for people to wear cologne. So luckily, a lot of these top 10s that I mentioned aren't even used to begin with. Some of them are more overplayed in certain areas of the world, and maybe you might not want to get some of them if every single guy has it already, because obviously the last thing you want to do is smell like some girl's ex-boyfriend, right? But here, these are typically all safe fragrances for you to buy in terms of not risking smelling like every other dude. And these were my top 10. I have listed links for you guys to get them below. You know, the links, they go to Amazon, and I get a small commission from them, so it's at no additional cost to you. But if you want to support this YouTube channel and my blog, which I've also posted a detailed article about this same YouTube video on, if you prefer reading versus listening and watching, please do me a solid and use those links to purchase the fragrances if you decide you want to purchase them, because it helps support my channel and build up my blog in the future so I can put out more and better content, obviously. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. That was my top 10 most complimented fragrances / colognes list. Till next time.